Hi, Jen.
Hey, how are you, Martin?
I'm terrific.
That's
Look,
awesome.
you're looking well
Thank you.
and happy.
I am delightful. I guess I'm like
I'm,
stating that I am delightful. That's what
yeah,
someone else should say.
you
I'm delighted to be here.
you are delightful. So, quick
So,
GTRs or no?
yes, always GTRs.
Uh,
I'm like, oh, but now what is my GTR? It's been gosh, there's been some fun things going on.
no,
I should have been prepared for this. Do you have one?
I have one. I
Okay, you
have a
go.
pending invite. Potentially, it's gone from about 10% to 50%. So I'm kind of excited.
Mhm.
Remember, where there's hope in the future, there's happiness in the present.
Love
So,
that.
so the hope is this guy posted about a surf trip in Indonesia in May, and it's not free. It's very expensive. And anyways, my probability has gone from 5% to around 50%. I'm
Ooh,
not counting any chickens. It's quite expensive, and there's some details to be worked out. But I'm excited. It's a GTR, even if it doesn't happen. So
I
that's me.
love that.
Yeah.
Well, and it feels good in the body, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
That
Just
feels really good. Yeah,
two
that feels really good.
2 weeks on a yacht in Indonesia, surfing the finest way, which is crazy because I'm actually wearing. Last time I was in Indonesia, here's a T-shirt. So
Oh, that's funny. How perfect. So I like that because that is actually similar not to my GTR. I have a opportunity that is not yet like yours, not yet 100%, but we're probably close to 70% on this opportunity. And I like that explanation you said, that hope for the future is happiness right now, because
yep,
that's what I feel like when I even think about it. So
I love it. All right, well, let's get into this. This is going to be a very quick kind of Q&A. We got an email.
yeah, so let's set this up. So for anyone, and I know, marketing says you're not supposed to say anyone, but if you are watching this, you have access to us in whatever form. We are always open to Q&As, whether you comment in whatever platform, you can always comment. We'll find the questions there, or you can always email. You can email me directly, jen@thehabitfactor.com, with your questions, and I will make sure that we somehow, somewhere, answer them, get them answered for you. So this person, James W., reached out, had these questions. So we thought we'd put together a spontaneous Q&A. So are you ready for these, Martin?
Hit me.
So there are 3 questions. I'm going to take them one at a time. His first one is basically, it's stated as a phrase, but how do you keep control of your email? That's
Well,
a big one.
it's so funny. In my head, email has evolved to a point. I mean, this has kind of always been the case, but the short answer is I would do it all very differently today, and I've started to do this, where I just keep primarily the function of email is to communicate, to read the message, and to send message. In theory, everything is findable, meaning it's searchable. So in the old days, I used to be like, oh, I got to drag this one to this folder, this one to this folder, this one to this, and I'd spend 15 minutes just filing email. Silly. Today I have new, right, the inbox, and then I have hold, right, and then maybe a project or two, like the book or something, but that's it. Super minimal. And so if it stays in the inbox, I have to. It's typically meant for me to follow up on, but
Hmm.
everything just goes into hold if it's important, or I'm deleting it, and that's it. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Got
Yep, that makes sense. One thing that I am starting to adopt, and you and I talked about this sort of recently, about me personally creating a new habit where it's like Jen gets her stuff done.
Oh yeah, that's
Like
right.
once a week, Jen gets her stuff done, because things like email for me tend to get a little out of control. And I needed a way to rein that back in and to feel like I was the boss over it. So one of the things that I have started to do is implement a thing that I've implemented years ago at home, which is you touch your paper once. And like, so if something comes in, like let's say mail comes in,
Yep.
I open it, and if there's an action, I take action. If it needs to be filed, I file it. If it needs to be recycled, I recycle it. And so it's like touching it once rather than like just letting stuff, you know, and
Yep.
I'm doing that similar with my email now, and that feels far better.
That's amazing. And it reminds me, in getting things done, which I realize is holding up my computer, or I'd pull it out and show you the book. He has basically a 2-minute rule. And his 2-minute rule is that if you can address it and finish it and get rid of it under 2 minutes, do it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And if it's longer a project, then you schedule it. But yeah, the 2-minute rule. So yeah, relative to email, fewer folders, everything just goes into one massive folder and you can always search.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So it keeps your inbox
mostly clean,
Sure.
mostly clean. I'm not a believer in inbox zero. I'm a believer in inbox.
Yeah, yeah. My husband is a believer in inbox zero, and he always exhales when he gets there. But
Right.
watching him get to zero is like, oh.
If I showed you, well, I'm going to do it because I just grabbed my phone. You can't. This is just on my phone.
Wait, 62,000?
Yeah, so that's, I mean, but
That's amazing.
Because no, I mean, half of it just spam.
Just sitting there. Yeah.
And that's not my work email. That's just I have everything dump into that. So,
Yep. Yep.
All right, what's the next one?
Okay, next one. Where do you keep your goals list and how often do you review it?
Well, that reminds me of his next question. I thought he asked about apps too. So
We did.
okay. The goals list is I review my goals daily. And relative to the app, I just say, yeah, I'm using the habit factor. So, but there's one goal. My response was, by definition, priority is one. It's one thing. So there needs to be, in an ideal world, one major goal. And that's the one I'm constantly reviewing. And that's my next book, which is coming out. But you and I know, we just spent a lot of time talking, for instance, about the Certified Professionals program. That's another very important goal that's in my head, on my mind, but the book is even a higher priority than that.
Yep.
So, but every day I'm reviewing my key goals.
Yep, I like that. And I'm just looking at your actual response, which I love that it is parallel. You did say this, you did talk about the ideally one goal,
Right.
And you added, there will be other goals, but the idea is that concentration is about fewer items, less and not more.
Wow. I like me on pen and paper better than
It was good. Yeah.
Concentration is precisely that.
Yep.
It's one thing. And people attack goals and they're like, I got 10 goals. I want to make this money. I want to have this job. I want to lose weight. I want to, and 3 goals is arguably too much. One goal every day, every morning, every night, reiterate it and move toward that.
Yep. Perfect.
Right.
Okay. So the last one is regarding apps. Are there apps you like to use? For example, finding resource material. You seem to be an avid reader.
That was interesting. So I was just saying, if I remember correctly, I use very few apps. I use Notepad. I use the Habit Factor. I should reverse that order. I use the Habit Factor. I use Notepad. And I mentioned Trello, which is great for project management. I noticed the spell checker changed the spelling of it. And what was the other? You just said something. I lost my train of thought. Apps, Habit Factor.
Oh, he was saying,
collecting material. That's it.
yeah, resources.
So what I mentioned is how this cuts both ways. It's very easy to be overwhelmed by too many ideas. And what I was telling him is I've intentionally cut down how much I'm reading, how often I'm reading, because with every new book comes more ideas, and that cuts both ways in my world at this point anyway. So I'm down to 1 book a month. And I'm not using. The only other thing I mentioned was, I believe, Google Docs for consolidating these ideas, whether it's for the book or another book. So Google Docs is an app I use.
Yeah. Yep. It's interesting that you mentioned the cutting down on what you're consuming and the books that you're reading. I recently went through and took myself out or unfollowed a bunch of groups in social media that I love, but I was finding that it was becoming a distraction, similar to what you were saying regarding reading, in that while the content is great and I love the process and I love the ideas, it had me feeling like it's too many different directions where I want to be a laser rather than
that's it.
Big, broad. I want to be laser.
Yeah, there's only so much energy. We only have so much energy. And It's the old 5 watt light bulb. It can barely light up a closet, but it can cut through steel if it's focused.
Yep.
And the same 5 watts. We have, let's say, 100 watts. So every time we're picking up something, reading something, it's diffused. Whether or as opposed to being concentrated on one goal, moving in one direction. That's not to say do not read. I think it's critically important to be reading every morning, every night. Just be cautious, be aware where you're putting your time, attention, and energy.
Yeah. What's the intention behind it?
Right.
Love it.
Was that it?
That's it.
Woo! Great job. And
your answers here reflected what you typed. So
good. Well, I like
you're on the same page.
Perfect. Well, I think our job is done here. You don't go anywhere. I'm going to kill the recording. Stop recording.